Section 1 of Noted Speeches of Abraham Lincoln, edited by Lillian Marie Briggs. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Denny Sayers in Modesto, California. Foreword. This series, American History and Literature, will include only the best-known American speeches, those which commemorate the most important events in the history of our country. The biographical sketches have been included for the convenience of the student and reader, and for the schoolboys and girls who are constantly seeking concise accounts of the lives of our great Americans. This present volume, the first of the series, gives to the student and reader Abraham Lincoln's most noted speeches in compact form, making a chronological anthology. L.M.B. Abraham Lincoln, biographical sketch. In a little log cabin in Hardin County, Kentucky, on the 12th of February, 1809, was born a future President of the United States, Abraham Lincoln. When Abraham was 7 years old, his father, Thomas Lincoln, moved with his family to Indiana. It was a cold, dreary winter for them in the rude shed which Abraham, knowing well how to handle an axe, had helped his father to build. The following autumn found them in a better cabin, but brought to Abraham the loss of his mother, Nancy Hanks Lincoln, leaving his sister Sarah, 11 years old, to care for the household. But the next year the little home was much changed, for a stepmother had come, a woman of energy and thrift, who provided the children with comforts before unknown to them. She became very fond of Abraham and encouraged his inclination for reading and study. 1 year would probably cover all the schooling he ever had, but he set to work with a will to educate himself, sometimes walking miles to borrow a book. In the spring of 1830, Thomas Lincoln sold his farm in Indiana and moved to Illinois. Abraham, though wishing to do something for himself, remained with his father about a year longer, to see him comfortably settled in his new home. Then, in April, he went on his second expedition to New Orleans in a flatboat. On his return, his employer placed him in charge of a store at New Salem. When he was 23 years old, he enlisted in what was called the Black Hawk War, and was chosen captain of his company. When the war was at an end and he returned home, he was told that the people wished to send him to the legislature. He agreed to be a candidate, but was not elected. All this time he did not give up the idea of becoming a lawyer, and soon after the next election, at which he received a large majority, he commenced the study of law. In 1837 he left New Salem and moved to Springfield, which was ever after his home. He was elected to the Illinois legislature 4 times in succession, and again in 1846. And the following year he was chosen to be a representative in Congress. At the close of his 2 years in Congress, Mr. Lincoln returned to Springfield and applied himself to the practice of law. But very soon he was again taking an active part in the politics of his state. It was at the state convention held in Bloomington in 1856 at which time the Republican Party of Illinois was finally organized, that Mr. Lincoln made the wonderful address which has become famous as his lost speech. 1858 was the year of the noted Lincoln-Douglas debate that brought Mr. Lincoln conspicuously before the whole country. 2 years later, when visiting New York, he was invited by a party of Republicans to deliver a speech at Cooper Union. This speech helped to increase his popularity. This same year, 1860, Mr. Lincoln was elected to be President of the United States, and on the 4th of March, 1861, delivered his first inaugural address in the presence of thousands of people. The Emancipation Proclamation, which gave the slaves their freedom, was issued to take effect on the 1st of January, 1863, and in this act Mr. Lincoln made his name great. It was in the same year that he delivered the famous Gettysburg Address. Mr. Lincoln was elected to the presidency for the second term, but lived only a few weeks afterward. He was shot in a theater in Washington on Friday evening, the 14th of April, 1865. He grew according to the need, and as the problem grew, so did his comprehension of it. Ralph Waldo Emerson. End of section 1.